discover where Sandpaper Jackson was buried in 1997. He hung up his shoes for good, or so he thought. Because when children began mysteriously disappearing from the slide at the local park, the police knew there was only one person to call. The ex-detective, who was literally the size of a child.
Okay, we get it!
Michael McTinyapple arrived at the park and witnessed it for himself. A young child innocently started sliding at the top of the slide, disappeared into the enclosed tube section, and then never emerged. McTinyapple assumed there must be a clog. One child got stuck, then every other child got stuck too, right? Wrong. He looked up into the slide, and there was nothing. No children, no obstructions, no apparent danger at all. After much thought with his tiny, tiny little brain, McTinyapple decided there was only one thing to do. He would go down the slide himself. He climbed to the top of the slide, which was a large feat for an apple so very tiny.
Knock it off!
And he peered down, knowing this could very well be the end of him. But someone had to figure out what was happening to all those children, and it might as well be him. A washed-up tiny little man who couldn't even figure out where Sandpaper Jackson had been buried. So with one last deep breath, Michael McTinyapple began to slide. The slide was cool and slick against his tiny little buttocks. That is, until it wasn't. Moments after he passed into the tunnel portion of the slide became rough, like sandpaper. McTinyapple looked down and realized that it actually was sandpaper. And the further he slid across it, the more of his body was being sanded away. As he slid further, watching his body disappear before his very eyes, he finally understood what had happened to all those children. They'd been sanded away into dust. And with his final glimpse downward, moments before his eyeballs turned to dust themselves, Michael McTinyapple made another realization. He came to understand at long last the exact location of Sandpaper Jackson's final resting place. Inside the tunnel of a slide at the local bar.